everybody, and welcome to Sam and Scott are watching Watchmen, the show where we watch the HBO show Watchmen. I'm Scott.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to our instant reaction. That's right, we're going to talk our way through this episode of TV that was just ridiculous. You know, and you know, I know you're as excited as I am, Sam. I know. I'll
they're going to make us wait a week for the doc. Shout out to all the Reddit folks.
Yes. Shout out to the Reddit
all
folks.
the Discord folks.
Shout out
that
to Discord
called
spoilers.
Cap. Oh man, what a dunk by the. Yeah, I didn't see it coming, but it came, and I was not surprised.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You know, one of those really cool things, and I'm super glad that I'm watching this in real time. You know, some really awesome stuff. I feel like we got the origin today of Sister Night and Angela, and I'm just super excited to see where they're gonna go with this here. So let's go ahead and get the first reaction out of the way, and I think you know what we're gonna talk about here, and that is Cal's Dr. Manhattan.
Cal is Dr. Manhattan.
Now,
didn't see it coming.
Incredible,
but This is as obvious. I mean, we were questioning in the beginning of the season why he wasn't, there or, during like the whole the White Knight incident and everything. What happened to him? Why did he disappear and everything?
Right.
And now some of the questions that are actually being answered, and I love it.
It's so cool. We say what this is going to be on the final here. That's one of the things we say on Sam and Scar are watching Watchmen. And this was the final, right? This was one of the questions on the final for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to real quick, call us back to something, and that is, the picture of Dr. Manhattan that Lori was in, and I want to say that this was just maybe in like episode 2 or episode 3. It was right when she came in, and she was slotted in this like Andy Warhol-esque.
Yes. Back in her hotel room, I believe, or apartment.
Yes. In her hotel, I guess it's like she probably treats it like a hotel room, but it is in fact a her apartment in Washington D.C. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of spin us over to this. Here we go. So everyone can still hear us now. So we're now looking at a picture of Laurie Blake from the episode where she was introduced, and we see her, Ozymandias, Night Owl, and Dr. Manhattan. And Sam, does Dr. Manhattan look like Cal?
There you go. He does. Wow.
That's right. So that is something else. It really looks like Cal personally. Which is one of the coolest things there. So we'll take that down. But I wanted to bring that up while we were doing our instant reactive. One, show that I could do it because that is impressive. And two, to say something that I think one of the tips. This is one of the clues that we're going to look back on and say this is what they were going for. And say they've been planning this and they've been laying the seeds for it again, just like how we talked about in the graphic novel.
Yeah, right.
And I'm super impressed with this. This is excellent.
It was a lot of stuff packed into this episode. So much stuff, from the outset, it really told you, this story is going to be about Angela, number one, and laying the, Cecil, the Dr. Manhattan reveal and everything.
Absolutely.
So we start out with, Angela being like a little girl and everything. And I love the fact that, in Saigon and Vietnam and everything, they worship this guy.
Yeah.
They worship the blue guy.
Well, it makes sense.
So,
I mean, it
just makes so much sense and everything, from like, paraphernalia, from like, merchandise and everything. They just straight up worship, this guy, this blue god and everything. Yeah. And then the unfortunate incident of, Angela's parents being murdered, right? Yeah. Because they ended up dying because of that and everything. That just came as a shock to me. But yeah, that I love the way that the whole Sister Night thing came into play was a blaxploitation film, because it's like, okay, why does she call herself Sister Night? So she picked up a video, a blaxploitation film from like the 70s and everything, straight up, with the fonts and everything, just like how one of those movies would be on VHS. Right. And this is her origin. This is how she got her inspiration and everything. So that was fun to see.
Super interesting that her parents died. So this is a Batman tendency, which we talk about how these characters.
And
it
goes back to trauma, Scott. Trauma. Trauma. So what we were questioning, like, if you check out our last podcast and everything, our full, podcast,
Mm-hmm.
where we talk about trauma and, heroes and everything. And that's something that Lori Blake, referred to in, I believe, like episode 3 when she was introduced.
Yes.
We've gone back to trauma. Now we see Angela's trauma.
Mm-hmm. And that trauma is significant. It tied to her, and Lori called it, right? She said, "How is this related to your trauma? What is this? How have you taken on the persona of Sister Night? How does that relate to you?" And Angela obviously relates to this blaxploitation movie, like you said, and has adopted that persona. And you do not fuck with Sister Night. You do not fuck with her at all.
No. She's that on big time and everything. She's like, this even looks like me, right?
Absolutely. So let's unpack. Here, I'm gonna just throw some. I'm not gonna put tinfoil on because there's no such thing as tinfoil in this universe, because every conspiracy theory is true, and every single theory I've seen espoused has been true so far. So we can just sort of imagine that whatever this is all going to be correct. One thing I want to ask you is this, okay? So Cal is Dr. Manhattan, and it's Dr. Manhattan in human form.
Right.
The whole of Angela's memory was to talk about a famous foundational superhero who was not a white person explicitly.
Right.
Do you think after seeing this that they're going to do the same thing that they did with Hooded Justice as far as having him actually be a black person? Do you think that they might be going in the same direction with Dr. Manhattan?
It'll be hard to really retcon that. I mean, we already seen. I know we already seen John Osterman. Back in original Watchmen. So I don't know how they could retcon that. Now, for him to change his color and everything, I can see.
Well, we saw it in the movie, so obviously,
yeah, we saw. Yeah,
skin deep, so it can't be hard.
Yeah, exactly. But we know John Osterman's origin and everything. We know how he came to be. So to retcon all that, I don't know. I'm not on board with that yet. But I mean, I love the fact that the Reddit people called it out that Cal is. But I hope they do it in a different type of way. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, it would make sense if they're trying to tell a story where, they couldn't tell America that that Don Osterman was a black person. So they had to make up this persona and this backstory, right? Because don't forget that we've seen all this backstory as being presented as accurate. So from the standpoint of book readers, you're correct. We saw that whole thing, and we did see the excellent montage from the movie, which is actually very good.
Right,
talking about his origin.
Yeah.
But remember, the John Osterman story is something that he came public with after he did a lot of his exploits and after his father died, right? Okay. So if you were talking about who would recognize the pre-Dr. Manhattan John Osterman, and it's his dad, and that's it.
Right.
It's a pretty short list. Right. So if you wanted to do some concealment of your actual personhood and create a facade that was effectively propagandized, then that would be a way to do it for sure.
Oh yeah. Like if explaining like that, I can see. But like I said, I mean, I'm not the one writing the story and everything. Like we was talking about, we already know how he came to be and everything. We know he's originally obviously he was a white man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in that sort of conspiracy propagandized aspect, I can totally get on board with that.
We have a little bit of feedback. So Wise Guy 100 says we should have realized that he was Dr. Manhattan after Lori kept mentioning how sexy Cal was. That's a very good point. Lori does have a one-track mind for sure.
Yeah, she had that relationship. She knows this form and everything.
Absolutely. So want to ask a question.
Great thing to point out.
Cal obviously never existed, or there's something more complicated there. Obviously, they're going to use the same actor to play Dr. Manhattan. It seems, because the Next Dawn was super. I hope everybody stuck around for the Next Dawn, because this was like
I usually don't stick around for the Next Dawn and everything, but I did because they just left me wanting more and everything.
Absolutely.
So we hear that the actor Cal and that voice and everything, so that he's going to be Dr. Manhattan in this. So I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Absolutely. And how did you I love the suspense of is Angela crazy or not? It was a really great secondary question to have, clouding all of this, right? Because is she is she really like saying is this going to work out? When she clubs Cal, is Cal not just going to collapse and then?
I was expecting some sort of like, change. And okay, it was pretty much when Lady True just said, okay, you didn't ask me. I mean, how telling is that?
Right.
You pretty much like, I reread it too much.
And remember,
Discord
this whole episode, and I took my chicken scratch notes here, which I'm famous for here, of not using actual typing. And I kept noticing the color scheme for Angela Abar. Blue, 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 blue,
right,
blue, blue, blue. So you knew she had something
yeah.
to do with Dr. Manhattan. My personal theory was that she was Dr. Manhattan's son. There was some sort of trickery going on there.
Like so you were thinking she was in relation to Dr. Manhattan? So explain that.
So sure. So I thought maybe she was a child fathered by Dr. Manhattan in Vietnam.
Okay, Angela,
right.
Okay,
so
all right.
So that's one thing I was thinking.
So daughter, you said
right,
son,
right.
Yeah.
So here's what I wrote down. I wrote down the children of Dr. Manhattan a couple times because I think what they're maybe alluding to is Dr. Manhattan is Lady True's father. When she said, "My parents will be with me," in a way, I think that's what they meant. We have some more feedback here from Mike W. He wants to know, how do you think Angela's father betrays her or grandfather betrays her? How do you think, Sam, Will has betrayed Angela here? Because she's family. How do you think she's betrayed him?
I mean, keeping secrets in families, that's just a big thing, period. Any type of family situation, just keeping secrets, and having the secrets actually buried for generation and stuff.
Right.
I mean, that's just a big thing in itself. So, yeah, I mean, that's a betrayal, of not knowing like your own family history.
Absolutely. And, we talked about burying things last week, right? And I know we made a little clip. If you're on our channel now, subscribe first of all. Second of all, check out the clip we made. Positing the
subscribe.
Question.
Make sure you subscribe.
Don't
tell your friends.
Listen to Sam. He's a very serious man. So here, what I was thinking is, I think that Will has betrayed Angela because they are going to kill Dr. Manhattan. I think that ultimately the plan is to kill Dr. Manhattan, just not to let the white supremacist racists become Dr. Manhattan. I don't think that's the case. I think what is going to happen though is that Dr. Manhattan, who is, after all, Angela's real husband, Angela's real life partner, her real soulmate. If you kill Dr. Manhattan, that's going to harm her a lot, and she's going to see that as a betrayal. So that's where I think they're going, Mike, and I appreciate your feedback here tonight.
Thank you for that.
Thanks so much for dropping in to talk to us. Subscribe to the show. Check our other work out, obviously, if you haven't yet.
Did you check out? Okay, they had like some little, Easter eggs in the back and everything. Right when Angela's grandmother fell, she fell down and everything. They sort of like panned up, and you seen like Dr. Manhattan on the back of the not billboard, but on the building, and they had murderer, with horns and stuff and everything, So it's so while people in Saigon and Vietnam are worshiping him and everything, there are some who are or not on board with the whole Dr. Manhattan gig, and we got a lot of that in the beginning with like different media montages of questioning the existence of Dr. Manhattan.
Absolutely. And, that was a great juxtaposition because it was a mural of him as an angel, as like a saving angel. And it was juxtaposed against, the devil backdrop. And one of the cool things about this is, it looks like Dr. Manhattan from now in, today in Tulsa is going to be going back to experience his meeting with Angela in Vietnam on Victory in Vietnam Day, when everyone dresses up like Dr. Manhattan, has their big Dr. Manhattan celebration. Wise Guy 100 again wants to know, how do we think that Aussie and Tulsa plot lines are going to dovetail, or do you think it'll be its own separate thing? I think it
will not be its own separate thing. They are going to dovetail like, big time. How it's going to happen, I don't know. But we didn't even talk about that. That segment.
I laughed so hard at that entire scene. That entire scene was so hilarious. The trial.
Oh man,
it's so funny.
In the episode, there's so much stuff to be packed in and everything. this is the comedy segment.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe if it wasn't written to be funny and everything. I appreciate the levity in that scene and everything.
Yeah.
So the defense rest, and my guy was out the Lordest fart. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was just like, man, that just had me just dying like the rest of the scene.
Lowbrow and
You know,
highbrow dovetail together, man. You can't. You want some medium. You're really the best way to do it is highbrow stuff followed by a big long fart joke, which was just.
Ozzy's my dude, man. I mean, he's going through some stuff. I love the way they took the drawing from that Max Shea drew back in the original Watchmen, and had it right there for his trial of the squid.
Yep.
The squid drawing.
I know they got that ready for the trial. They had the chalk they have obviously they have a court reporter every single day drawing Ozymandias every single day. They have these people presenting all this written stacks of evidence to prove piece by piece by piece by piece. They have the entire his entire spacesuit just sitting there.
Just sitting there on the mannequin, man. Oh man, they had the prosecutor, winking him right.
Yeah, winking at him like, "Oh, I gotcha." And obviously, now that Dr. Manhattan's back in the mix, and we're talking about Jupiter, we know a couple things. Number one, Adrian's been hidden away from the world by Dr. Manhattan, is what I think. And number two, Dr. Manhattan is definitely the creator of these people who he, I'm sure, created to be just stupid enough to annoy Adrian. Just this stupid. So nifty.
Well, he's still on trial and everything. He did kill 3 million people. I
mean,
there,
he probably does deserve a trial, not just for all the murders he's committed on Jupiter, but also the murders from Earth, of which there are several million more. Because he'd have to be murdering for a while to get up to his pre-Jupiter numbers.
He's not a nice guy.
I want to come out now as a pro-elephant person to say that I didn't think it was cool that they were doing that to the elephant in the plot. I don't like it when they mess with the animals. It's a weak spot for me. Whatever.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Some of us have soft spots for people. Yeah. I guess I don't.
Animals, one thing. Well, people, okay. Some people actually have soft spots for them, but it is what it is when it comes to some of them. But what do you think about the whole racial, with Joe Keane, with the trap door with Lori, the trap door. Are you serious and everything? And I seen it coming with his wife. What is his wife's name again? I totally forget. Yeah. So she typically always plays the bad guys or mean ladies or what have you. That particular
mean
actress
women, is just like a villain.
Yeah, right.
Sure,
so for her to make that heel turn and everything was not surprising, in my eyes and everything. So it was just funny seeing her press the remote, trying to get the trap door to work, for Lori to get captured.
You've been doing shows with me long enough to know that I basically, my brain basically works in Simpsons clips. So I just kept thinking about Stampy the elephant, and I kept thinking about, I just kept thinking about. Shit, I lost my train of thought, man.
So the Keane and them are trying to become Dr. Manhattan to become like a master race.
I think Keane just wants to be Dr. Manhattan. I don't think my thing is this is if you get a bunch of people together and you say I'm first through the door, and then I'll be a god. I will be a god, literally. Why in the name? Why would you let someone else come through that door? The first thing that you should do if you walk through the door to godhood is destroy that door, right?
Right.
Now, it also that would be one very, very good reason to come up with this fake origin story, because let's say, and this is just for the sake of argument, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say John Osterman John Osterman existed, and John Osterman did have his girlfriend, and John Osterman did get in that temporal, that intrinsic field remover. He died.
Right. Yes.
And at a similar time, something separate happened to the person that Dr. Manhattan really was, and they turned into Dr. Manhattan. Why would the government tell people how to become Dr. Manhattan? So for me,
No incentive.
yeah, what incentive would they have to actually be like, okay,
No
Russians,
incentive. What's oh
get
right.
yourself an
Mm-hmm.
intrinsic field removal generator, and
Right.
you can have 50 Dr. Manhattans. And if and like I said, if I'm Dr. Manhattan and I've gone through the door, the first thing I'm gonna do is blow up the door, because Dr. Manhattan doesn't even see his existence as being exemplary or good.
I just don't see. Well, I mean, it'll be revealed, but to try to duplicate the circumstances that made that actually happen in the beginning, that's like almost like one in a million. So what they're trying here is some really crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean,
They're really trying. So your whole plan is to take out Doctor Manhattan in order to become him.
oh,
You
I
know.
realized what Simpsons clip I was thinking of. It's when Mr. Burns gets in the 2-person escape pod and won't let Smithers in, and he says, "I like to put my feet up." That's what I was thinking. Sorry, everybody. I mean, my God. This is all just crazy speculation. I mean, that's something they could be going for. I'm so interested. I'm interested to find out. Mike W. again. I'm interested to find out where Wade is too. I want to know where Looking Glass is because it seems like he survived that attack.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That was definitely another egg that they planted there. Okay, he's not here. And how about the fact that we got connection to the Peteypedia files of Lori, telling Petey what to do and everything as far as go. Get like the good Looking Glass because he wasn't
mirror guy.
and then exactly. And then we get the Petey actually saying it on the show what was said in the Peteypedia files. That was a really great connection for me. I love crossover stuff. For those who are not reading these Peteypedia files that are debuted on Mondays right after an episode and everything, please check those out because it really has some really great information that ties directly into the show on HBO.com.
And then after you read the Peteypedia files, probably the next day, why don't you come back to this channel where our hour or so podcast about this episode will be with scene by scene recap and us talking about all these things after we've had some time to digest and after HBO has pruned some of these theories that are running around there, and we can really put on our tinfoil hats now as we near the end of season 1 and we really start getting the patented Damon Lindelof finals.
The pinup is the next week is his penultimate episode, so it's going to be a doozy there. So, right before we right before we head out of here, how about at the end of the show, into the next on and everything, HBO puts like the Manhattan logo at the end, in ball and blue.
They're changing it up.
That
now.
was dope.
It's like we've been planning for this. We've been planning for this. Boom! Ha!
You guys better tune in next week.
There's nothing quite like
great episode.
Boom! Excellent. So we're definitely psyched for the rest of the season. We want to hear from you. As you can see, all our contact info is up on the screen right now. You can get us on Twitter. You can get us on here in the comments section, in the chat section if you're here now, in the comments later. And make sure you email us, watchingwatchmen@nerdcyclopedia.com. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you're in the chat now.
Yeah.
And do subscribe. We are looking for new nerd psychos, so check that out.
The more that we can get, the more the merrier and everything. Make sure that after you listen to this, like Scott said, make sure you email us. We can probably get you right on the read your email right on the podcast that will debut on Tuesday. So we'll be recording that tomorrow night, as we do every Monday night, and then posting it up for the Tuesday, Tuesday and everything. So make sure that you're doing that.
Yep.
And also subscribe, people.
Oh, one more. And before we go, I was absolutely right about Bian being the clone of the mother. I'm super happy about that.
Sure would.
I felt like I cashed. I feel like I cashed some. I feel like I cashed some internet points in today, for sure. And
oh man,
if you got friends that watch this show and you think that they could be taught a lesson or two about what this is, or you think they might be interested, tell them to subscribe here and of course everywhere there are podcasts. We're there. So check us out.
We're there.
All right. Any final thoughts, Sam, before we let the fine people get to their rest in their, well, I guess not a fine week work, but a week work.
Thank you guys for chatting and chiming in and everything. We love interacting with you. The more the merrier. I love the episode. Really, I can't wait to watch this again.
I'm excited for the second watch, too, because I'm sure there's so many things we missed. The last thing I'm going to say is a promo for our other podcast, which is Carbonite Bounty BS, a podcast about The Mandalorian. You can find the episodes on our channel feed here. Check those out, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Peace out, people.